everybody, it's Big Dave. I'm your host today for Sitting on the Toilet.
Hey, welcome to Sitting on the Toilet. I'm your host, Big Dave, and it's a pleasure to be here with you. I know it's been one of these. Today's topic, we'll be talking about aliens. No other reason why. The first thing I want to talk about, there's a lot of scientists out there that fear if we actually make contact with aliens, it might not be a good thing. There'll probably be harm, war, and tragedy. And a lot of the reason why they think this.
Howdy, I'm back at work. Now, what happened was I ain't got a tripod for my phone, so I just duct taped it to my railing I have for my towels. And somehow, I think the duct tape turned it off, or I ran out of phone space, because the duct tape, it was hard to set it up. It was like almost acting like it was a finger touch. So here we are. So I basically wasted like 12 minutes talking about aliens in my bathroom. My walls are really thin. My neighbors, they definitely could have heard me. As you could tell, the audio in there ain't great. Really, what I might start doing is I might get like some kind of portable toilet and just film these like out of nowhere. That way nothing can bother me. You know, I can be as loud as I want and whatever. Only problem with that is if I got a portable toilet, I'm really not feeling like cleaning that. So maybe if I got something where it was like a bucket seat with like a hole, and I'll just dig a hole in the ground and throw some sand over it afterwards. That might work. But aliens, so we have a lot of these scientists thinking that they'd be dangerous if they were to like make contact with us. And that's based on how humans treat each other and how we've treated other animals when we found them. Even look in today's world, how we treat orcas and stuff. They are a very intelligent species. They have their own language. They actually have their own accents. You can tell where they come from. They think like, why would they be any better than us? It seems like the natural urge to colonize is to enslave and use all the resources just for your own species. And even in our own timeline not that long ago, we were even enslaving our own species for just hateful reasons. And I ain't gonna sit here and advocate for like veganism or anything like that. I mean, you can tell by looking at me, I eat a lot of meat. But even pigs, they're real smart, and look how we treat our pigs and livestock. But you also gotta think, alright, so by the time humans figure out how to like travel space and all that, you'd think our morals would be high enough where we wouldn't just be abducting. Like right now, if we were to find a planet that inhabited some like species, I wouldn't put it past our government to be abducting those things and doing experiments on those things. Just like how you hear stories on how aliens abduct people and do such wise. I wouldn't put it past our own government in today's world, but we're pretty far into actual like intergalactic travels. I mean, we haven't even colonized any planets. We're working on, and there's like a lot of push towards like Mars and stuff, but that's within our own solar system. That isn't comfortably traveling the galaxy, finding life, and just fucking around doing experiments. You know, these things, they gotta have equipment on them. It wouldn't be like if we found a planet with species. It'd be like the time it would take to get the equipment out there to do the tests that we would need to do would be long time. So these things must be pretty advanced to come and find us. And so you gotta ask yourself, is anything that advanced, could it have the morals to just do things like that? And I think it's possible. It's definitely possible, but you know, you're talking about the unknown. Anything's possible. And so that's what I also wanted to state. A lot of people point towards ancient, early recorded history for alien contact. And let's say you have this species, they're traveling the world, and they find this planet. It looks like there's this species that's pretty smart on there. You know, they're building these, like, what looks to them, these villages. Yeah, they could be massive towns, but to them they could just be these villages. because like the tech is like completely Stone Age to them, even though they're like pretty advanced. But I wouldn't be surprised if they did some tests and did all that. I personally believe in aliens. And I'm not a nutcase that constantly fears that I gotta do every little thing to protect myself. I work the night shift by myself. You know, you can't be worrisome about that. I do believe they exist. I think the bigger question is, with the world, if space never ends, I just think there has to be something out there just as intelligent as us, somewhere out there. The question is, has aliens ever came to Earth? And if they have, are they still making contact? And how far have they gone with contact? A lot of alien abductions, stories I hear, I can put to sleep paralysis. I used to get sleep paralysis kind of often, not often, but once in a while. And then I learned like things that triggered them in me, and then I how to prevent it and how to look for it so I could stop it. If you don't know what sleep paralysis is, it's basically usually when you're falling asleep or waking up, your body thinks you're fully asleep, but you're not. So you're paralyzed, and your body does this for your own safety, so you don't hurt yourself, but you're still awake, and you can't move, and you freak out. But this is in a dream, and the mind, since it's in a dream, it can start like you can hear stuff, feel stuff, see stuff. I've been lucky; I ain't never seen anything, but I feel stuff, I hear stuff, and the first time I ever had sleep paralysis, it scared the shit out of me because I didn't know what it was. I was laying in bed on my back, and this was one of my triggers, was if I fell asleep on my back, and I found that this is a common trigger for a lot of people with sleep paralysis. So I now refuse to sleep on my back, and if I actually lay on my back, I get real anxious because I'm scared I might drift to sleep and fall into the sleep paralysis because it's scary. So I'm looking in bed, and I remember exactly like this was yesterday, and this happened, Lord, like 6 years ago. I was like looking at my ceiling. I looked around my room once. I looked at all my little figurines. I had like Godzilla figurines, and I looked back at my ceiling. And I'm just trying to get to bed, you know, I'm not that tired. I like close my eyes for a quick second. I open them, whatever. And then all of a sudden, around my ankles, I feel a hand that could not have been a big hand because it couldn't wrap around my ankle whole entirely, and it wasn't a quick grab. The thing about this thing, if this was my ankle, was it took one finger at a time and laid it down right where my ankle was. And this was sleep paralysis, this was a dream. And I could feel each and every finger indentation going into my leg. And so of course I start like freaking out. I can't move, like what the hell? And I believe in aliens. They've always been my greatest fear, because the thing about aliens are, if they exist, if they come to this earth, and if they mess with people, guess what? If they're that smart, they can come and fuck with you as much as they want. They can come and abduct you without being noticed and this and that. And even if they are noticed, who's gonna give a shit? What's our government gonna do? They ain't gonna send a notice to court. Like seriously, they can get away with it. And if you try to defend yourself during an attack, guess what? Their buddies are gonna be pissed. And they have constant eyes on you. There's just no protection, so you're just screwed. So I'm like freaking out. I can't move, I'm hyperventilating, I'm trying to call for my dad. And it starts pulling me down the bed. And it drops me around my calves, like just a drop. And I'm like breathing, hyperventilating. It grabs me real slowly again and starts pulling me down the bed until my knees are almost perfectly where it would hang off. It drops me once again, and my hands, as I'm being slid down, my hands are to my side, and they're at the end of the mattress, and they're able to cup at the end and I pushed myself back on, and I like checked my room real quick. This is like when I woke up. I'm guessing I woke up after I pushed myself on the bed and landed like that. So I checked my room real quick. My brother had this like game room in the attic. I checked real quick because that connected to my bedroom. That was real fun because that's creepy as hell. And then I went to bed. Now, of course, I didn't know what sleep paralysis was until like 4 months later. So to me, this felt real. And I'll finish it real quick, but there's two parts of this story I want to tell that makes it kind of unnerving to me, but I chalk it up to sleep paralysis. Like, these are just coincidences. So, like, this had to have been the summertime, like probably August. It was close to me going back to school again. I'm playing video games in my bedroom. There's a window at the foot of my bed that goes over like maybe 6 inches over my bed. And I look out every now and then. I'm playing Call of Duty or something. And during the loading screens, you know, it's a nice day. I look out. That's why I remember it's near the end of the summer. Then I notice, clear as day, there's a handprint on the window. And where it is, it's on the section that kind of goes on top of my bed. And I put my hand up to it real quick. And the hand was just, it was like down to the next knuckle, smaller than my hand. And I just wiped it off real quick because that creeped me out, especially what happened the night before. And I chalk it up to my little brother, you know, whatever. And I really wish I had compared the hand to my little brother, but you know, I was young, it freaked me out, I erased it. But one thing I want to add on to that was, I tried making an impression next to it to see how easy it was. And like, just using my breath, just putting my hand on there and like pushing down and really going. I tried a few times. I could not get a clear print. This print was like perfect. It was like as if they had something on their hand and then put it on the window. But it didn't really leave no residue. Also, another weird thing was my computer. The family desktop was in my bedroom and the background to it was changed. And it was like these photos, it would go in a slideshow, and each slideshow had this thing. It had these like nice frames, like 3-4 pictures, a background between the pictures, and like had personal photos that were like on the computer somewhere. And I didn't do that, and it wasn't like that the day before. And I chalked it up to, at first I thought my dad did it. You know, it's a summer, I sleep until like 3 p.m. But then, funny thing is, when I realized that, like 30 seconds later, my dad walks in and goes, "I like what you did to the computer." And that creeped me the fuck out. So the minute he left, I changed it real quick to like a car background, and I felt real bad because he later said like, "Oh, I really liked what you did to the computer," but I couldn't leave that shit up. Like, that just creeped me out too much. And I always chalked it up to a computer update, and I have some friends, and maybe someone in the comments, if you know how this could have happened, I asked them, like, could a computer update or like a reboot or something? And what stranged me out was it wasn't like the pictures were just blown up to fit the computer. It was like they were placed in these frames, like as if it looked like someone did it. And the only thing I feel comfortable about that not being aliens, though, is why the fuck would they do that? Like, what's the point? Like, maybe they did that because they felt bad because they left a dirty print on my window. They wanted to leave me with a nice desktop background because it looked nice. But that's my little story. And I didn't find out what sleep paralysis was until like 4 months later. I was like on Reddit and I was like reading it today. I learned. And it sounded exactly like what I went through. And between that time and the 4 months, I didn't tell a living soul. I felt like if I told someone, they'd go, "Huh, you're crazy," and I'd be sent into a cuckoo house. Because let me remind you, this felt real. There was no pause. I just looked around my room, looked up my ceiling, then I felt this thing grab me. There was no part where it felt like dreamlike. It felt like I could see everything in my room. Everything was 1-to-1. Nothing was off. And even after I found out it was so real, I didn't tell anyone until like 2-3 months later. And then it really wasn't until I was out of high school, so like a couple years. It took me a couple years to feel comfortable really telling people about it. And now in today's world, you know, I get excited telling this story because it's something different. But I chalk it up to psychology. But I do find it a little weird. But yeah, this has been another episode of Sitting on the Toilet. I've been your host, Big Dave. It's been a pleasure. I apologize. It's been a little bit since I put a video out. I've been having problems filming. I'm hoping right now that when I look at my phone, this video successfully videotaped. This is the second time I'm filming this. But I also had 2 other videos I was working on. I still am working on them. I videotaped each of them at least 2 or 3 times, but they kept messing up. So I have videos prepared and I'm getting ready. It's just BS I'm dealing with, and I just need to upgrade to a better camera so I ain't messing around with my space. But hit that like, subscribe, and I'll see y'all in a few days.